Kurt and I are so excited to host a brand new episode of Amazing Individuals. Today, we will be talking to the Regional Operation and Program Manager for Special Olympics North America, Kelly Sheehey. Hi, Kelly. Welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
Okay.
could you tell me?
Yeah, could you tell our listeners where you're from and why you wanted to get involved with Special Olympics?
Yeah, I'm currently in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, but my Special Olympics story takes place in Charleston, South Carolina. So my first introduction to Special Olympics was when I was an undergrad at the Citadel. And we hosted a soccer team on campus because we had the facilities to be able to do it. It was really my first introduction into Special Olympics. And then I really dove deeper into the movement when I lived in Jacksonville, Florida. At that time, I was managing the wellness side of a YMCA branch. And on that property of that specific YMCA, there was a day program for people with intellectual and physical disabilities. And so part of my job was to make sure that the wellness programming took place for them. So I spent a majority of my time at that separate facility working with that group, and that just, spearheaded my passion and lifelong commitment to working with people with physical and intellectual disabilities.
Oh, and just as a side note, what was it like going to the Citadel? I didn't know if it was any different between because I've heard like people I know people that have gone to like the Naval Academy and Colorado's Air Force Academy, but I think the never heard anybody going to the Citadel. So
Yeah, I'm one of the first 100 female graduates from the institution. The first female graduate was in the late 90s. So when I showed up in 2003, there were not that many women who had attended the institution. I think my graduating class had 13 total women in it, and we started with 33. So very, very small class of women. It was a really great experience. It's a lot of character building. I looked all over. I looked at West Point. And when it came down to going to West Point, which is on the Hudson in December, or Charleston, South Carolina, it was kind of an easier pick for me. Wanted to get away from that cold weather. And I just fell in love with the South, fell in love with Charleston, fell in love with that culture, the food, the people. So I do not regret that decision, and I now have at least lifelong friends from my time there.
well, that's good. We're more of a Navy family, so but my
Yeah,
yeah. So but
yeah, all the branches are represented at the
yeah,
Citadel.
yeah,
So
which is
the
nice. Yeah,
yeah, the cadets have the option to select a branch. I went Army, which means I went through the Army curriculum. But several of my friends, one of which is a Navy pilot, she now flies for Delta. She was on the Navy side of the house.
well, that's good. Oh, God.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you like to do as a
Regional.
regional operation and program manager?
Yeah, so I have that's a big title, right? There's lots that fall within that. So that's everything from the budget reporting, revenue reporting, our operational plan. We just have started a new 2-year operational plan. So hosting, coordinating the monthly meetings between all of our priority areas within that operational plan to make sure the deliverables are hit within the timelines that we had originally sent out. And then on the project management side, it's things like, Lisa, as you would know, the US business meeting. So coordinating that. We have a SONA conference coming up in August, which we're really excited about. Lisa, again, all about that. I like to pull Lisa into all of my projects. So coordinating that effort with a much larger team. So it's a lot of, just making sure people are in the right places and are fully supported, especially on things like the conference. I'm very, very excited about that. We've got pillar leads who have some really creative, innovative, exciting opportunities for our North America attendees in August.
So you're talking about the conference, so that kind of leads into my next question. So, as part of that planning, as well as others, you're part of your job. You engage with athlete leaders like ourselves. How important is it to have that collaboration with the athlete leaders, and how does it help Special Olympics grow?
Yeah, our athlete leaders they're my colleagues, they're my friends, they're my partners, they're everything. You have to have a very well-rounded, diverse group of people around you. If you don't, then you're only looking at things through a certain lens. Lisa, I could talk today for days about all of the great things that you've brought to the table. I have another colleague, RJ, who I constantly reach out to him and say, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Or how should we do that? He is incredible. He's more than a colleague. He is a friend. He's a mentor. I learned so much from him. And I just look at our athlete leaders as we're just colleagues and friends. Like, I don't reach out to you just for your opinion, because that's a nice thing to do. I reach out for your opinion because you ultimately are responsible for where this movement is going to be in the future. And I can't walk a mile in your shoes, but what I can do is walk a mile next to you and we could grow together.
Right, and what I kind of feel like I like the collaboration too, and I kind of mentioned this when I was in at the Global Congress in Germany. I said, it's nice to have that collaboration because ultimately the decisions that, you and all the other people that work for Special Olympics, they affect us and the athletes. So I feel like that's nice that we're able to help with having a voice with that. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's your movement. It's
mhm,
your Special Olympics. You've entrusted us
mhm.
to help make these decisions, and that is not lost on me. That's a heavy weight and a heavy burden to make sure that you take something so important and so life-changing and make sure it grows.
Yeah, because I remember when we were yeah, and when we went to the White House and then we had the after party, you were talking to Mr. Schreiber about how long you've been with Special Olympics. You've been
Hmm.
with what, since 79?
Yep.
And you were talking to what about a couple of your ideas or
Hmm.
yeah. So
I
yeah.
love that. So lots of change since 1979.
Yeah, a lot.
What was one
Good. It's
thing
all
that you
good
said?
stuff.
I want to become a coach.
Great.
So,
So,
Great.
so hopefully that
Yeah, we have a wonderful global messenger in Alabama, and he did his thesis on athletes as coaches, which I was blown away by his presentation. At least I think you know who I'm
yeah.
talking about.
Actually Kurt knows him too because
mhm.
he's met him before. So
Great.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And I look forward to the next iteration of USA Games and those afterwards to really see more athletes, not on the field of play as participants, but there as referees, there as coaches, there as volunteers. I'm excited about, the next 50 plus years and the opportunities that maybe weren't socialized 50 years ago that now you look and you're like, why don't we have an athlete as a coach? Why don't we have athletes as referees? That's something that we're really trying to work hard on for this women's 3-on-3 basketball tournament to say, how cool would it be if not only are there athletes on the field of play, but all of the officials and all the coaches are also
Right.
athletes.
Right. Well, and that's what we enjoyed too, was during USA Games, the last USA Games in Florida, that we were invited to do our podcast and, meet some of the, you know, famous people, but also, just to interview like um, uh, not just the participants, but again, like you said, the coaches and we had like one of our teammates was a coach for our flag football team, and it was nice to see him kind of interact with our players and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Where am I at?
What is a couple of things?
What are
What is what is a couple of things? Okay, this one. I know. What is a couple of things?
what
What is
what is a couple of things that you
what?
like about working with for Special Olympics?
Oh, Kurt, that's a good question. Probably the people. I I really, truly, in my heart of hearts, adore my colleagues. I don't tell him enough, but my supervisor, who's our regional managing president, Greg Epperson, I just learn so much from him all the time. And I really, really, really like my coworkers. I think that, is helpful to any organization to have that kind of internal culture where people actually like working with each other. It does make your workday a little bit easier when you go in and know that, like, oh, at 2 o'clock, I have a call with Rachel. And for the first 20 minutes, we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z, and then we'll get to the work stuff. But you generally like appreciate your coworkers, not just for who they are within the organization, but outside of the organization. We have a whole bunch of younger staff. Now that I'm getting older, I can call people younger staff. So watching them grow and change has just been an absolute blessing. As there were people that mentored me along the way, I get to kind of transfer some of that onto this next generation of leaders in the movement. And I just get so excited when our staff members share their wins inside and outside of the organization. So I think it's the people.
Mhm.
Mhm. And that's a good thing. So it's always good to, when you get along with work with your coworkers and get along with them. So go ahead. Um, what does it mean?
What does that mean to you to have athletes like
Like me, like me.
Like Lisa work with you on different projects?
You know, athletes like Lisa are just an invaluable resource for our organization. She has such great ideas, things that I would never think of. Um, she pushes me and others in a way that is best for the organization. I just had another athlete leader, a colleague, who reached out with this really great idea for our next all staff meeting and to have a culture where people feel safe and that their voice is valued and appreciated and they can lift up ideas. I'm so grateful for that because his idea was brilliant, and I'm so excited for him to be able to really execute this at our next in-person all-staff meeting. So it's just an opportunity for a diverse voice, diverse group of people to be able to share their own lived experiences, what's worked, what's not worked for the betterment of the organization.
Well, thank you. I try to, like you said, one of the things I like to do is when I collaborate with you guys or say my ideas is just, it's more to kind of how do we grow the organization, and not just maybe and I'm not trying to do it selfishly. I'm just saying, okay, what, have I heard, or what it would it be better for, athletes in general to, to be involved, just like, the 3-on-3, it was like, like you said with the legacy piece and stuff, it was like, oh, wait a minute, we have, the Big Ten Network or whoever, might be a good thing to reach out to them for. So, just to be able to share ideas and know that, it's a safe place to share them with is what I kind of like with the collaboration again too. So,
Yeah, and Lisa, when you say you guys, you are part of the you guys. You are such an integral part of that committee. So you are the you guys, right? Like you are on a subcommittee within that committee. It's really looking at the legacy piece, and that's the most important part of any event. Because we could just host events all day, every day, and if there's no sort of after action or legacy to it, then that was nice for one day. But for you and other women in this movement to really look at the longevity of growing women in sports, specifically basketball, and leveraging our partners at the collegiate level is so, so important. So I'm beyond grateful for your work on that subcommittee.
oh, not a problem. And I know and not just women's sports, but I know, like, you were asked to speak at our local police department because he's volunteered for them for over 38 years. And what, that's that legacy piece again that you don't want to make sure they ask you what for what your ideas on what,
Hmm.
how for torch
Make,
run
yeah, to get different ideas of what it's all about. And
and
I,
you
Yeah,
mentor.
yeah, and I teach people, mentor. So
that's great.
Yeah, so
Love to see more athlete leadership in law enforcement torch run.
mhm.
We have such a strong foundation of that when I think of like Jose in Illinois, and I think about Kevin Brown in New York. So hearing more and more of those stories and athletes teaching our members of law enforcement, like that's so important. So I love that you're passing that down to the next generation of athlete leaders.
I'm giving back after almost 40
Yeah.
years. And
well, and it's funny, Kelly, that you say that because when we were at DC, when we were at the White House, what did you get
I ended up getting a Secret Service patch.
from one of the? Yeah,
All right. All right.
so
Those they don't just hand those out.
No,
no,
I asked if, is there any chance that I could get one? He goes, um, hold that thought. Give me a few minutes. And
during dinner.
during dinner, he comes up and he actually hands me a patch. So if you look on you look on our pictures, our dinner pictures, you'll see me holding the
Yeah.
patch.
I mean, I didn't even know he even asked that. All I know is that when we were eating dinner, it's like he comes, oh, here you go, sir. And I'm like, what? What is this? So,
On
I
those,
love it. Well, I'm gonna have to go back through your pictures. I know
yeah,
I did
yeah,
see them and they
yeah.
looked great, by the
they just
way.
don't, and they just don't hand those out to you.
No,
Those.
no, they don't.
So like, if you want to see it, you got to come here. I'm not. It doesn't matter
Okay,
the
fair
house.
enough.
Yeah, because like Kelly, I did ask him. I said, so if I when I go to, as I said, when I go to Indianapolis, I said, can I bring it? He goes, no, you can't bring it to Indy. So,
Mm-mm, it stays
Well,
there.
I'm happy to come to you guys.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
overdue for a Chicago trip.
Well, we'll treat you to lose. That's where he works at. So,
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Okay.
I'll give you my discount.
so. So, as part of your job, you get to travel. What has been a couple of favorite places you'd like to visit?
That's a great question. You know, stateside, I love my work in Los Angeles. Just uh, watching athletes compete on the beaches, some of the most beautiful beaches in the world has been great. 2 games ago, uh, going to the United Arab Emirates, just kind of really fell in love with Kite Beach. So the police officers were running with the torch. And it's just Kite Beach is so incredible and so beautiful. And to be able to see, the mission being spread various parts of the world, that was a favorite spot. Recently went to Italy in preparation for the Turin Games, which is very exciting, and Barranecchia, which is where a lot of the skiing events are going to take place. Just walking in and looking at the backdrop of the mountains and the snow and thinking, gosh, our athletes are going to be able to do snowshoeing with this as the backdrop. Like that's so exciting. And I am just so thrilled and cannot wait for our athletes to get there and to be able to see that and to be on the best stages of the world. So those are probably 3 of my favorite locations, just knowing that like, wow, this is, the mission is being spread to these corners of the world and athletes are really going to be able to shine in the most iconic, beautiful locations.
Yeah. When I was thinking about that question, we were thinking about ours, and at first we were thinking about Germany, but then all of a sudden it was like, then we got to be at the White House, and it's like, nope, that kind of trumps everything,
Hmm.
you know. So, but good when you're not working.
When you're not working, what is one thing you like to do?
Oh, well, I don't consider it work, but I'm a young athletes coach. So I love that. I'm grossly outnumbered, in the best possible way, but I love play and fun and watching our athletes grow. So kind of work answer, not kind of work answer, but a non-work answer is reading. I really like reading. I'm very close with my family. So spending time with my mother, who just retired. She's 2 weeks into retirement. So spending a lot of time with my family, is really what I love to do.
Oh, that's great. So after this one, since working for Special Olympics,
Since working for Special Olympics,
have you enjoyed it?
have you ever done the polar plunge? And if so,
Did you enjoy it?
did you enjoy it?
I have done a couple polar plunges. For a long time, I got out of getting in the water. I would always keep my electronics on me, right? Because you can't throw someone in the water
Right.
if they've got their
Yeah.
electronics on me. So that's always, oh no, I'm running the event or I'm doing whatever. I can't go in there. So Special Olympics Ohio got me a couple of years ago. And so we did the polar plunge in Lake Erie. In February, and that was so cold. I think it took hours to warm up after that. I kept checking my toes to see if they were changing colors. They were not. I was fine, and it was great, but it was very cold. But I will say my favorite polar plunge wasn't a polar plunge, it was a solar plunge. And that was out in the desert in Abu Dhabi. So we got a big inflatable pool and then like not enough ice because by the time I got in there, the ice was gone. And that was for all of the law enforcement torch runners, free that World Games. That was my favorite one, but that's only because the water was very hot.
Yeah. Yeah, you've done it for how long? Almost 10 years almost.
Yeah, almost 10.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we do
Those
it.
super plungers are something else. There are people that plunge in very, very cold, like Chicago or
Mhm.
Minnesota, or I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Well,
they
he
do
doesn't
it.
do the super plunge. He just does the regular plunge, but it's still, he does it on Lake Michigan. He got me to put my foot in last year. I might do that again this year, but, um, yeah, but I agree. Like totally cold, but at least now, before we used to do it in February, but now we do it in March, but it's still cold and, I mean, yeah, yeah.
I'm
So,
also always happy to sign up for the two chicken to plunge
oh
and just
yeah.
fundraise that way.
Hmm.
I understand that. Yeah, I get that. So, yeah. So, are you on the committee since you're living in Cleveland? Is Jessica getting on you on the committee to kind of, try to get you guys to have the next USA Games in 2030?
Yes, they are. So they're one of two sites that have bid on the 2030 games. And so we have an amazing team of people that are coming in the first week of February to do the in-person site visits. So very exciting stuff. I'm trying to stay out of it, trying to stay a little neutral. Obviously, I want
Right.
Cleveland to get it, but if the other city is more deserving, then sure, it should absolutely go there.
Yeah.
It is really exciting. The Cleveland Sports Commission has put the bid together. This is a group of individuals whose sole focus is to bring sport competition to the Cleveland area. They're an incredible group of people with incredible networks that would be really great for the Ohio team to be able to tap into for the longevity and growth of their program. So we're keeping our fingers crossed over here.
I know Kelly, as soon as Jessica found out that I was originally from Ohio, because my mom lives in Toledo, she was like, could you do twice? Could you work for the USA Games for getting in the USA Games here? And then also, I will see. I don't know if you might have something to say to that, but we'll see. So, but go on. What is one thing no one knows?
What is one thing that no one knows about you?
That's, you know what? That's a good one because I'm such an open book and I just wear my heart on my sleeve, to a fault. Sometimes I just share, because everyone is my friend. I know no strangers, but I would say probably the one thing, because most people don't come to my house, is that I have a lot of plants, like a lot of plants, like almost 100 plants,
Um,
in my
Well, let
house.
me know. Let me
I
know if
really
you let me know if you need new watering. So I'll do that.
Listen, it takes me about an hour to an hour and a half to water all the plants. So thankfully, this time of year, I don't water as often, but in the summers, yeah, a good portion of my Saturday I spent watering, so I will certainly take you up on that. I really got into this during COVID, and then when I left DC and came to Cleveland, I, moved from a little studio apartment to a house, so then I had more room. So I just started collecting, and then it's not quite gotten out of control yet. There's still some spaces like you see, there's still spaces for more plants.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're at about 100 plants now.
Wow.
So it's my thing. And I love to gift plants. I love to propagate them. Really just watch them grow. So that's my thing, is the plants.
Oh, that's cool. So, well, thank you so much for talking with us today. We really do appreciate it. That wraps up another episode of Amazing Individuals. We hope you've enjoyed our show. Before we go, we would like to thank our generous sponsor for all of their support. And we would also like to remind everyone that you can listen or watch more great episodes wherever you listen to your podcast, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our webpage at podpage.com/amazing individuals. So go ahead, Lisa. Lisa,
Lisa and I
look forward.
Lisa and I look forward to bringing you more great episodes. And remember that people with intellectual disabilities can accomplish whatever
They want.
they want for the right supports.